honour it is to be invited to speak today at the Africa Students' Union Students and Youth Summit. At ESSA, students and young people are at the heart of everything we do, and so it's a real privilege to have the opportunity to speak to so many of you directly. And so it is a particular pleasure to be asked to speak at this session on putting women and children at the centre of the COVID recovery. Across our work on post-secondary education in Africa, we see the challenges that women face in accessing and benefiting from a university or college education. Small gains that have been made in the last few years are being erased by the pandemic. But before I go into more depth on that, I want to tell you a bit about my organisation, Education Sub-Saharan Africa, or ESSA for short. Our vision is to see high quality education in sub-Saharan Africa for everyone that enables young people to achieve their ambitions and strengthen society. Our mission starts with universities and colleges using data and evidence to drive a dramatic improvement in education for young people. We believe that universities and colleges have the power to transform Africa's future. They are the places where young people will learn the skills they need to navigate rapidly changing economies. They're the training ground for professionals and are in their own right hubs of knowledge. But if they're to harness this power, radical change is needed. Access must rise from the 10% average we see today. Quality must improve, as must connections to the world of work. We see rising graduate unemployment at the same time as CEOs tell us they can't find young people with the right skills. And yet, when we think about how to transform the system, we're operating in the dark. Data and evidence about the most basic elements are missing. For example, we don't know where young people go after they leave university or college, or how the system is supporting women and marginalised groups. And this is where ESSA comes in. We identify the biggest issues in education driven by the needs of young people, educators and employers. And we join up those with the power and influence from governments in sub-Saharan Africa to leaders in universities and colleges. And we support them to use evidence to maximise their resources and attract investment. By working together, we turn evidence into action, improving education policies and delivery. We work across issues of access, quality and transition to employment. And across all of these areas, we highlight the particular needs of women. And I'll take the rest of my time to go in depth into a couple of examples. So last year, we worked with the African Association of Universities and the Ghanaian government's National Council of Tertiary Education to lead a study on higher education staff and academics in Ghana. The headline there was that the country will need 5 times the current number of professors that it has to meet its booming student population over the next 5 years. But the need for more female leaders is even more urgent. We found that only 8% of professors at public universities were women across the whole country. In other countries in sub-Saharan Africa, the situation is similar. In Nigeria, for example, only 17% of principal officers at universities are female. And what about the research produced by these faculty across the continent? African research should be used to improve education at all levels and other issues in society, but research outputs are disproportionately small in comparison to other continents. They're also dispersed across a wide range of outlets and not easy to find. This is something we want to change. We've created an interactive research database in English, French and Swahili, with over 4,000 pieces of research on African scholars. Out of 2,500 researchers identified, just 32% of these are female. The top 8 countries by research output, Botswana has the highest proportion of female researchers at 43%, followed by Zimbabwe at 40%. Ghana and Ethiopia have the lowest percentage of female researchers, with just 23% and 17% respectively. The COVID-19 pandemic is exacerbating this. The Organisation for Women in Science for the Developing World think that women have spent more time on domestic chores than on their research since the beginning of the pandemic. Women must have more leadership opportunities to have a voice in how we reshape and build back better up past COVID-19 and to improve society for us all. And while the situation in academia and education is not unique, it can set the bar. Universities and colleges are places where women can access leadership skills. Best practice for gender policies can be demonstrated, and new research on gender issues can be pioneered. Women in leadership roles within universities and colleges can encourage more women to pursue leadership and counteract gender biases, transforming society so that it works better for everyone. But the financial implications of the pandemic are threatening this mission. According to the World Bank, public higher education systems that are already constrained will have to make trade-offs. And these include laying off faculty and staff, freezing salaries, consolidating programs, and reducing investments in research and student support services to redirect more resources to online or blended learning tools and resources. This is particularly worrying for female staff and students who already on average are paid less, have a lack of representation in leadership and decision-making roles, and have an increased care burden. Our research has found that mentoring schemes and networks for women can be really effective, as can university-wide policies to recognise and support women. But all too often these approaches are simply not implemented or receive no investment. We've spent the last few months engaging female leaders in in-depth interviews about their experiences, and we currently have a survey out to female faculty and students to get their perspective on what more needs to be done to support women into leadership positions. And I'm sure some of you tuning in today have that survey in your inbox. So I urge you, please go home and fill it out today. This research will be published in early 2021, and based on the evidence that we've collected, we're building a coalition of universities, colleges, and organisations with expertise in women's leadership. Together, we will co-create solutions based on the evidence we find through our research, including implications on women in education from the pandemic. These solutions will address the barriers women face and inform education policy and critically delivery in universities, colleges and beyond. If you would like to get involved or add your perspective, please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. I hope you found it interesting.